Welcome back, everybody, to Week 17 recap and Week 18 predictions. We're going to quickly go into the Week 17 recap because there are some interesting games and the others are just there. So, Jets and Browns, another pretty strong win for the Browns. Flacco has had, what was it, 4 games with over 300 yards. So, he's doing well in that system.
Yep. Um, yeah, Browns easy win. And they're the first. Well, they clinched the playoff spot. Um, earned the 5 seed, and are the first team to make the playoffs while starting 4 different quarterbacks, which was a little interesting negative information. But
Mm-hmm.
um, good game. Interesting
You didn't.
interesting finish was Detroit and Dallas. uh for before getting into the whole kerfuffle that was the end of the game. CD had a really big day. CD Lamb had a big day, so that was good for him. Cowboys won 20-19,
19.
and kind of just like put themselves they put themselves in a good place to potentially get the 2 seed with that, um, which can explain later why how that works out. But yeah, the end of the game. You want to cover the end of the game? You want to
Yeah, I'll cover
state
the other
that?
game. All right, so Dan Campbell, I love the man. However, the attempts that he made at the end of the game were kind of questionable, specifically the third time he did it. So at the very end of the game, the Lions tried to go for a 2-point conversion on like the very last touchdown they got. The first one was didn't work because apparently the refs said that the was it I think it was Decker or Skipper, one of the two,
It was
didn't report. Was it Decker?
Decker was the one who got the ball. So what the Lions tried to run a sort of trick play and confuse people by reporting multiple linemen as eligible. Because in the NFL, you have to report if a lineman is going to be allowed to touch the ball on a passing play, he needs to be reported as eligible. And they tend to do that a lot. They do it a lot. They do it a lot. I believe so. Where the issue came in, the refs said that several linemen came to report as eligible or came up to them. And the one that was reported as eligible was 70, which I believe is Penei Sewell.
Was it
But
Sewell?
yeah, I believe that's Sewell. But the one that was supposed to get reported as eligible because he was the one who got the ball
Caught the ball.
was was Decker. And there's a big mess on social media about what really happened because it was like 3 guys went up to this one ref and he only reported 70 when he was supposed to report 68. Um and a lot of people are giving crap to the refs for blowing the game. And I don't know, me personally, I like the Lions, but I'm like, it's you're running a trick play. You need to make sure that you're following the rules. So if you need to report as eligible, you need to make sure that the ref knows that you're being reported as eligible.
I'll be devil's advocate for this one. Mostly because I actually watched that game happen and I did see the footage of Decker actually going up and reporting himself. The situation became is that I have no idea why, but the refs were rushing that 2-point conversion when it's an untimed down and you can take all the time you need to do that. And also as a ref, it's also your job to make sure that everyone is aware of the situation, not just on the spot, like, oh, we're going. So yes, it is also, yes, while it is Detroit's fault for, I guess, not clarifying it enough, or at least making sure that, hey, ref, I'm eligible, kind of thing. Even though he did report himself, the ref is also responsible for making sure not only the rest of the refs know, but Dallas know, because you're also supposed to let the defense know that you're going to have an eligible lineman. It doesn't matter regardless of the situation. It's just the refs should also be held accountable, and to that extent, it was a really messy play. Um, I blame the Lions to some degree, but it's also not their fault because the refs are also to blame in this situation, but the refs aren't 100% at fault in this one. I'd say it's more like 75 on the refs and 25 on the Lions. But regardless of the situation, I think the punishment was, I think it was fair for the refs, but also the Lions blew their chance, and I mean, you can't do much about that. I mean, it's once the refs make their decision, you can't do anything about it. And the Lions screwed up. And the fact that they went for it two more times on 2-point conversions, the second time I was like, okay, maybe you should guys kick the field goal. And then he never did. So that's where I blame the Lions.
The thing with the Lions is, uh, I didn't watch the game, but I watched someone cover the game, and they made a very good point. And the fact that the Lions don't really Lions got their division. They're not going to fall to the 4 seed. The most they can play for is a 2 seed, but in reality, like, they're really not playing for much this next 2 weeks. They're where they want to be, and it's just kind of like, you know, I imagine Dan Campbell's there, and he's like, no, we're gonna go all in for it because it's not the biggest deal if we lose, but it's like it's a chance to play his gutsy ball without pretty much any consequences. And so he's like, why not? Um, because the only team that has like a negative effect out of that is the Cowboys, because that game can had the capabilities to decide whether they make or win the division or not. And so I don't know. I like I know I think I see why they did it, which it was once they scored, they were like, no matter what happens, we're going for two because we don't want to go to overtime. We either win it now or we don't, because it's not the biggest deal if we lose, but it'd be really cool if we won. So
Yeah.
we're gonna put the faith in the offense and do that.
Yeah. And I do appreciate Campbell for actually trying to end the game and not going over to overtime, because I don't know what it is. It's just, I think that kind of mentality is like a good mentality. It's just that no matter what happens, we win in either situation. But it'd be really, like you said, it'd be really cool if we did win. What was it? I think it was Tom Osborne in the 80s. The very controversial play where he went for two. Um, and I think Nebraska lost like the championship or whatever it was. And a lot of people were telling Tom, why'd you go for two? It's just like, well, we don't want to go to overtime. We either win it or we lose it. And I kind of like that mentality. So I appreciate Dan Campbell for at least making it interesting. It's just, it sucks how it ended, but it's okay. I'm not all upset about it. I mean, Dallas did pretty decent. They didn't do great, but they did decent enough to win that game. Lions also same thing. They did great or decent, not great, but it's just kind of a so
Yeah. The Ravens absolutely just beat up on the Dolphins. 56-19. Um, that gave them the number 1 seed. Woo.
there
Woo.
you go.
And I'm not I'm not necessarily surprised that we won. The fashion that we won was very nice
Surprising.
to see. And it wasn't just defense and the run. Our defense played very well. and we had a still a pretty good run game. Justice Hill had a really nice day, but the passing game was very, very effective. Which might show more concerns for the Dolphins. But Lamar had another like MVP like day, and I think the past 2 weeks might be enough to just like alone win him MVP. Um, he had a perfect pass rating with was it over like 400 yards?
Mhm. Uh, Let me bring this up. Jackson joins Brady, uh, Manning, uh, Peyton Manning, Warner, and Roethlisberger with the most games with the perfect passer rating in the NFL history with a minimum of 15 attempts. So he's in elite company right now. So Jackson has been already breaking more records. So there's that for you.
And you know what's really funny about that? Not only is he breaking record and stuff, it's for a passing record. You can pass. You just got to
I
put that
thought he
out there,
was a running quarterback. I thought he was a running back.
dude. He
Anyways.
I still love watching him because there's still points where I'm like, oh wow, he's really learning to pass, and there he runs. Woohoo! Because he's so
It's
fun
it's
to
like
watch when
it's
he
like pick your
runs,
poison.
and
It's
he's
pick your
just
poison.
it, when that offense is like working, and I don't think it's like all on Lamar when it doesn't, but like once everyone else is like doing their jobs and essentially he's just so much fun to watch because he can do whatever he wants and it completely destroys defenses. But
Yeah.
versus
I
the
mean,
projected number 2 seed, um, it was fun to see. So back to
yeah.
back good weeks for watching Ravens football.
Mhm. I mean, besides the victory, I mean, Chubb on the Dolphins, he had his ACL torn during that game. Um, and then besides that, I mean, from me, I mean, Harbaugh was already dancing in the locker room after that victory. So it's safe to say that the Ravens are doing pretty well this year. So,
We're having a good year. Now
mhm,
we just got to show it in the playoffs, but if we can keep it up, excited to. I'm just excited for playoffs, honestly. And this week,
me too.
dude, this week is basically like another week of playoffs.
Yeah. This
Uh,
week is basically playoffs.
uh,
Patriots and Bills.
dude, I
Patriot
wanted to vomit after the first quarter of this game. I,
Patriots and Bills. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, I didn't watch it. I only know that Von Miller was healthy for this game. Bills fan like lit himself on fire after jumping on a table.
I
And
saw that.
yeah. And then Patriots basically screwed out of offensive tackle Trent Brown's like contract bonus. Like he got 6.5 million bonus because they made him inactive. So if
Oof.
he was active during that game, he could have gotten 6.5 million. But
He has another week though, doesn't he? He has this
yes,
week.
but I think it was like a specific like contract. I'm not sure, but I didn't read too much into it.
This was just I watching the first quarter, first half ish. Um, there were so many turnovers. There were 5 turnovers in this game. Um, yeah, Bills really scraped by. Um, this might be this might be just a little like a bit of an overreaction. Well, I'm not even gonna say overreaction, but g- do you think what are your thoughts on Bailey Zappi for as a future QB? I'm assuming Patriots probably just move on and get a young guy because they're so high in the draft right now. But Zappi has actually
I
made an offense that has looked anemic all year actually kind of move.
I'd
And
say he's a solid backup for the
that's fair.
Patriots specifically. I'm not saying move on from him in the sense that trade him away, but keep him around for like a backup position because he at least is like consistent for the most part. But
Uh, Chicago, Atlanta. Chicago absolutely demolishes Atlanta, which I I wasn't surprised. I don't know. Did you watch that game at all? Because
No, but I did see the two interceptions in that game.
oh, I
They
wasn't
were
talking the interceptions. I was wondering if you'd seen the Justin Fields sack evasion. There's one specific play where he gets completely like wrapped up by two defensive linemen. The second one, like completely wrapped up. The second one is David Onyemata, who is like a 300-pound defensive lineman, and he completely wraps him up and he just evades both of them and then runs for a first down. And I'm like, that that and people think they should take Caleb Williams. No.
some
No.
people think. There are Chicago fans who are like, let's keep Fields.
It's not even
And I
it's not
yeah,
even Bears fans though. It's media that thinks that they should go with like Caleb Williams or getting a quarterback. And I'm like, are you watching this guy play? He are
this
you
is the
really
media.
you you really think that the Bears are gonna win more games with someone like Caleb Williams when look what Justin Fields is doing with like his only weapon is DJ Moore, and it's like I don't know how you really I I like Justin Fields and I think they should stay with Justin Fields. But speaking with Caleb Williams, and the Bears lost or win, sorry, dominant win. They ended up still getting eliminated from the playoffs. But you know what they didn't get eliminated from was that first overall pick.
Yep.
So
So Panthers are kind of screwed over. So I have no idea how well the Panthers are going to do in the next 5 years. So Raiders and Colts, close game. I'm surprised how close it was. Um, in the sense that the Raiders came back and almost pulled off a victory, but they were kind of down the entire game. And the one time I put Adams on my bench in fantasy, of course he goes off. But it wasn't much from that game. So
yeah, I tried finding something and I was like, it just wasn't the only reason I was watching Red Zone and I'm like the game would keep coming around every once in a while. I was like, oh, so someone's kicking a field goal. Cool.
yeah,
It was not a very interesting game. Um, kind of defense kind of just owned most of that game. There wasn't a lot of offense. Even though Adams had a nice day. Just and
yeah.
yeah, it sets up playoff implications, but yeah, other than that, wasn't super interesting. Didn't have a bunch of notes. Um, a couple notes on the Jaguars beating the Panthers 26-0. That part wasn't super notable. Jaguars did play CJ Beathard, which is I'm going to give
Finally.
him props because Lawrence can sit a couple games and he'll be or at least one game and he'll be fine.
Mhm.
It's the Panthers. Um, the interesting
Yeah.
thing was is it David Tepper?
Yeah, Tepper
Panthers
threw a drink. Yeah.
Panthers owner was throwing drinks at Jags fans at the game, and I love people just sitting there and being like, "Oh God, is this our Dan Snyder?" And it's like,
Yeah.
it's not good.
It's not
Um,
looking too good for Panthers fans.
yeah, on all on that game. Uh, Texans game. Texans seem like they're back in form. I thought Titans were gonna make it close with, especially with Will Levis. Although he get knocked out because Ryan Tannehill was
Yeah,
playing
Tannehill
for a
was
bit,
playing most of the game. Yeah. Or at least a good bit of it, I think.
which is fair. Titans aren't playing for much, but yeah, Texans starting to look back into form, which is kind of going to be scary for teams going forward. Um, but yeah, solid win 26-3. Uh,
Rams and Giants.
um,
It was a very close game. I didn't see all of it, but I did see um the red zone coverage where they recovered, I think it was it was like a fumble or whatever it was. But the Giants kept it close for most of the game, or at least a good bit of the game. Uh so I mean Williams on the Rams got 3 touchdowns. Good for him. But other than that, very close game. Rams got lucky. They got very lucky, but Rams are in the playoffs, so good for them.
I swear neither one of these teams was trying to win that game because Rams got to 26 and then they just decided that they didn't want to even get a first down anymore. Um, and the Giants were like crawling back. They got like I think they were down because was I don't remember what the scores were, but the Giants came back down. Um, also can freaking like move the ball, but somehow managed to get a punt return. But then when you think that the special teams is going to win them the game, Crosby misses the game tying extra point. But don't worry, because the Rams still couldn't get a first down. So Tyrod Taylor drives him down into field goal range to give Crosby a chance to. And I loved the storyline behind this because um, Mason Crosby, the former Packers kicker, had the chance to get the Packers in the playoffs, like guaranteed, and he missed the game-winning field goal after missing the extra point that would have tied the game.
I'm getting flashbacks to 2021 when the Niners went into Lambeau Field and pulled off that victory in a snow game. Because for some reason the Packers cannot win in the NFC Championship,
Ever.
especially their special teams. So there's that. But
It was I was watching that game and I was like, I kind of just want the Giants. I think because I picked the yeah, I picked the Rams to win. So I wasn't even rooting for the team I picked. I was just kind of like, go get them, Giants. You gotta get them. And then that was the ending, and I'm like, okay, so the Rams won, but like you can't feel good about that win.
they've been doing this all year.
Yeah, which is why everyone's like, oh, they're hot. And I'm like, they're not hot. They've almost blown so many leads. And like this is how they play against not even
They're
like a
hot in
good team.
they're hot in like 3 quarters. And that's about it.
Was
So
that one was in New York though, right?
yeah,
So maybe they just really don't play well in cold weather, which is not going to
they
be
probably
good
don't.
if they have to. Well,
It depends on what's happening, but we'll see.
they're not going to have to play any cold weather games, and unless they have to go to Philly, but well, that's a whole scenario. Um,
Yeah. Uh Cardinals and Eagles. Um
I
Shoot the team into the sun and rebuild that roster, or fire the coaches
do
and then
not
do
rebuild
something
that
else.
roster. That is one of the most stacked rosters.
Okay, yes, on offense. Their defense is awful this year. I just saw their statistics the other day, and it was so bad compared to last year. Yeah, look it up. It's not as good as it was last year, defense wise. Or maybe in the last few games, their defense has not been good. They were like first in like 2 or 3 categories last year, and now they're like in the 20th categories for several of them. But point
Yeah.
still stands.
Uh. Yeah. There's only here's the thing though. If you this is why I don't argue blow up the roster because look at the team. They got what? They lost a safety. And they added a new superstar safety and however many studs in the draft, and yet your defense still performs worse. what did they lose? How about their defensive coordinator that just beat them because he's the head coach for the
Patricia.
Cardinals? Hmm.
Yeah.
Jonathan
Patricia is
Gannon.
also, I was gonna say, Patricia is also the DC in Philadelphia. So
Which he's the
I didn't,
replacement DC for whoever, I don't remember who the other guy
yep.
was.
hmm So, I mean, another one of the other notable things, Smith was seen in crutches leaving the stadium. So there's a loss to their roster right there. But Philadelphia's got to clean some stuff up really fast if they want to get any farther in the playoffs.
It's it's playoff, man. Or not playoffs. It's coaching.
It
it's
really
because
is.
it's not just the defense, it's the offense too. It's just not
They're really
really.
bad.
And I mean, honestly, I don't think AJ Brown has done anything in the past like 5 or 6 weeks. He hasn't. He used to because he was up there for like top three in receiving yards every week, and he's just kind of fallen.
They're not using him right.
They're not using anyone right. It's like I just
No.
watching that, I was like, I I don't know what you're running, but um, it's just uh, very concerning for Eagles going forward. But it makes me excited to watch the Cardinals next year. I'm excited
That's
for the
true.
offseason for them and see what they can do um with the with some of those pieces and what they can add because they got a pretty stacked. Well, they don't have a stacked roster. That's the thing, is they don't have a stacked roster. It's a weak roster, but you're winning some
They're
interesting games. They've
they're gonna
beaten
build it.
they've beaten the Cowboys and the
Eagles.
Eagles. I don't remember who the
I
other
don't
two
remember
were.
their other win.
Steelers,
Oh
and
yeah, they beat the Steelers.
I don't think the other one really mattered. It was some bad team, but you beat those three teams and lose the rest of your games. But
Yeah,
interesting.
can only do
Um,
so much.
yeah,
Saints and Buccaneers. Buccaneers, you need to fix it. Otherwise, you're losing the entire division.
they
Um, they're winning
they'll
in,
they'll be
but
fine because either it was this last week, but also this next week it's a winning in. All they have to do is
so they'll be
win.
winning in.
Yeah, they have complete control. I have no idea what happened, but all they have to do is beat the Panthers.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, they had one concerning week, so I'm not like on the blow everything up train, like I am with like
it's just a yeah.
Saints, but I don't know. It's
Uh, the Saints did pretty decently. I don't know. We'll see. I'm interested to see where this Saints team goes. But
San Francisco 27-10 victory over Washington, and I don't know. Like yeah, it was 27-10, but that game was a lot closer than the score suggests because they were kind of close for a bit.
they were
Um,
close for a good portion of it, so at least for the half, because it was like 10-10 at half or 13-10 at half. So Washington kept it close, which means Washington might become a threat to Dallas next week if they continue to just do that. So we'll see. I'm interested. So let's move on to the Steelers and Seahawks. Um, I
he had to get his over 500.
I guess
Uh,
I'm gonna say that the 17 winning season or yeah, winning season records. I I think it's impressive, but it's also such a dumb stat, especially when you can't win championships. So I don't.
he has one,
He has one.
two. What?
of 17.
Do they have two? Wait, no, he would
I think
have
no,
two
no, he has no, he
if
has
it's
two. He has two.
17.
Yeah. Sorry. He has 2 of 17. You would think he would, be in the playoffs and winning more championships than that, but no. Anyways, Seahawks kind of fumbled the bag there a little bit. Um, where were
Yeah.
the I don't know where the Steelers team was all year. I don't know. The past couple weeks, this Steelers team has been really good. It's probably because Rudolph is back under center, but yeah. So good game for the Steelers, but
Um, yeah, it was a good day from George Pickens and Najee Harris, who were uh I think we're the two that were supposed to be like the key playmakers on that team. But Harris hasn't been doing much, like hasn't been able to do anything for the past couple of years, and Pickens has been quiet for the past couple of weeks. Um, so if they actually get informed, they're not going to be fun to play. But a question for the Steelers is Rudolph the best quarterback that is he the best quarterback option that they have?
well, with how they've been performing the past couple weeks, maybe I don't know. It's hard to tell right now because mostly it might just be the uh the curse of the winning record for Steeler Nation with the 9-8. But I don't know. Can't tell. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see what they
Uh,
do next year.
yeah. I mean, I guess the interesting thing is because with their record, um, if they don't stick with him, more importantly, if they don't stick with Kenny Pickett, who do they move on to? Because they're not really in a great draft spot. Um, do do they try and draft somebody? Do they stick with what they have, or do they maybe go out and get a Russell Wilson?
I don't
I
I don't know.
I I would I
I
could
I
see
can
it.
I hear that Wilson, at least as of right now, the projection wise, there's a pretty good chance he might go to Vegas, if
Interesting.
that makes sense.
I figured
It's
Vegas
like,
would try and draft someone with their draft. Well, yeah, aren't they like around a top 10 pick right now? I figured they'd
I
try
don't
and
think so. I think they're just one or two places above top 10, but maybe they are. I don't know. But I
yeah.
guess my point is that the Raiders, if they can get Wilson and use that draft pick to get like, I don't know, like a wide receiver or a whatever position they need to fill, I think they'd be solid. So I don't know. There's predictions saying that there's Vegas, there's for some reason someone said Chicago, but that's just media talking. Um, there was a couple other places that he could go, but I'm excited to see where he's heading. So
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
see here.
Uh, yeah, the reason I used that as
Bro-
a bridge is because, the next game up was the Broncos 16-9 win, and the Broncos benched Wilson for Stidham, and Stidham did the basically exact same thing that Wilson did. So
Congratulations, you used Russell Wilson poorly.
Sean Payton didn't seem to they've had issues between Wilson and the organization. Most of it regarding his injury guarantees in his contract, which I mean, you gave him the contract and now you want it back, and I don't blame him for not giving it back because he has no need to. It's not like he really owes you that.
Yeah,
So kind of just on the organization for that. But yeah, it wasn't a super interesting game. Both teams are kind of in panic mode. Um, Broncos actually ended up getting eliminated from the playoffs, so that's the end
they're not
of
playing for anything.
yeah.
Yeah. The Bengals
Uh,
and Chiefs. I watched that game a little bit. Chiefs weren't they were slightly better than previous weeks, but it wasn't a dominating win.
Yeah.
And it's just it was a lot of Bengals mess ups with the Chiefs being lucky. So I don't know. I don't think the Chiefs are really ready yet, but maybe next
No.
week they'll finally win something. I don't know, but or they
Yeah.
rest their starters.
Yeah.
But
Well, they should. They have the division. They can't get knocked out. But they're stuck in um they are locked into the third seed. So win or loss, they are staying put. So they should bench their or sit their starters. But yeah, just the freaking Butker with 6 field goals. It was nice because I actually had him in fantasy, but
yay.
um, other than that, it was just kind of like really the the Chiefs. Butker outscored the Bengals,
Yeah.
and that's how you win the division. Uh,
I I
whatever.
Chiefs are not gonna do well this year. That's all I'm gonna say.
Knocked out the
Uh
Bengals though, so they're
yeah,
done.
they did knock out the Bengal. They did knock them out. Packers
Um,
and Vikings. Packers and Vikings. Um when I need Minnesota to win, of course they don't win. So, however, I think if the Packers get into the playoffs, I think it's a good thing because their first opponent is an opponent that they tend to do pretty well against. So, or at least in my predictions, but I'll get to that here in a second. Um, I don't, even though these Packers fans are saying, oh, Love is a top 10 quarterback or whatever it is, I don't see it yet. Give me like another year to trust him because he had a really sloppy beginning.
I would say he isn't a top 10 quarterback, but stat wise, he looks like it.
Stat
Take
wise, he does look
away
like good.
take away some of the picks. He's top 5, I think, maybe top 3 in touchdowns, and he's up
Yeah,
there in passing yards. So his stats are
yeah.
like
They're all
stat
right.
like this guy has lost you some games.
Yeah,
Um,
this is the same quarterback who's not been great in some games. So I don't trust him yet. But maybe
maybe
next year. I don't know.
maybe they got themselves a new Brett Favre. Maybe.
I don't we don't need another decade or two of another Packers quarterback being really great. Okay. I don't need to see another one of those. But
But
we need something new. Script writers, get something new in here, okay?
yeah, Packers held Justin Jefferson under 60 yards. Um, I'm not really surprised. The Vikings just don't know who to play at quarterback, and they kind of their playoff hopes were kind of just like done a couple weeks ago. Like they were still in it, but and they're still technically in it, but it's just like they have they've not been playing at playoff level past couple weeks. So it's just messy, and the Packers kind of actually are playing like they deserve to be in. Um, Somehow that defense pulled it together for a week, so that'll be interesting. But I kind of want to look at some of the upcoming like before predictions, just some of like the things on the line this week, which is uh because there's some interesting games. There's the Bills Dolphins coming up this next week. Winner takes the division and the number 2 seed.
Oh,
And the Bills, if they lose, could go anywhere from the 2 seed to eliminated. Now,
if certain things happen.
it's a loss plus a Jacksonville and Pittsburgh win, which is possible because
Do you think
Pittsburgh's
that?
playing the Ravens, but Ravens aren't. Ravens have the 1 seed, so they're gonna bench their starters,
Yeah,
rest their
but
starters.
it'll be. I'm gonna laugh if somehow Baltimore still wins that game though,
I
because
get to predictions in
but
a moment.
yeah, we'll get to that. But
Um, that's one. Uh, yeah, that's the AFC East. The AFC South. Uh, Jaguars still. Jaguars are a winning in.
mhm.
Because they clinch the division if they win. If they lose, then it comes down to the winner of Houston and Indianapolis, which is an interesting game in its own because regardless of what all of the other games, the winner of Houston and Indianapolis makes the playoffs, regardless. So
Mhm.
again, it's basically a bubble game because
Yeah,
it's a whoever wins makes the playoffs. You don't really know where you're going to end up because you could end up as high as 4 or you could end up as far as 7, but you're going to be in. So that's fun. Um,
yeah.
let's see. Pack God, and then you look at the NFC. The 6 and 7 seed just get to messy in the NFC. Packers win, they're in. Um, the Rams have the 6th seed at the moment, but with a they clinched the 6th seed with a Green Bay loss or a win this week. And if they lose and Green Bay wins, they fall to the 7th seed. Um, Seattle playing the Cardinals needs they need to win, have a Green Bay loss to get the 7th seed. And then there's the NFC South, which is kind of very almost exactly the same as the AFC South, which is really weird.
Similar,
Uh,
similar. Yeah.
similar to say the least. Tampa Bay wins the division with a win, and if they lose, it comes down to the winner of New Orleans and Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same
Yeah,
situation.
we'll see. Um,
Difference is, uh, New Orleans and Atlanta doesn't get a free in if they win regardless. So, um, but yeah, with the as far as playoff spots for like seeding, um, one is just starting on the AFC side. Uh, Ravens have one locked in at 1 is the Ravens. Winner of Buffalo Miami gets 2. Chiefs get 3, and then whoever fights it out at 4 goes to AFC South. And then 5 is the Browns, and then 6 and 7 is just the kerfuffle of whoever works it out. It could be so many teams still. And then on the NFC side, it's 49ers at 1, Dallas or Philadelphia at 2. Dallas, all they need to do is win. Philadelphia needs a win and Dallas lost to get 2. Um, with a slight chance of Detroit if both of them lose, but yeah.
yeah.
Um, 3 most likely going to Detroit. Philly can't even get the 3 seed. Um, Dallas gets the 3 seed if they lose. Philly loses and Detroit wins. Um, and then NFC South winners, and then 5 comes down to Philly or Dallas, whoever loses, whatever. And then again, 6 and 7 are just the mess. That 7 seed is so jumbled. There's so
Yeah.
many instances. It is wild. But I don't know if you have any If you want to, I took like a solid half hour to an hour just going through. All right, what are the playoff possibilities from each game? What does each game
Yeah.
have as a possible outcome? So
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything you
Okay.
want to
No, you
add on that.
basically kind of went over it, so we can go over predictions now. So,
All right,
all right, week
Saturday.
18 predictions.
Yeah, we got start with this Saturday, 3 o'clock. Um, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. I'll let you go first on this one.
I'm gonna play spoiler. I want Ravens to win because I know they're gonna bench their starters and everything, but uh I I don't I don't want Pittsburgh to be in the playoffs, especially
Oh,
how sloppy they've been this year. I don't want them in.
they're just no. I don't think they deserve it. But also, there's that. I'm also picking the Ravens. There's the fact that I'm a Ravens fan, so I'm inclined to pick them every week. Um, but there's also the fact that look at some of the backups on the Ravens, and they're still good enough to win games. Tyler Huntley is our backup. He made it to the Pro Bowl last year, which eh, like if you don't want to credit that, fine. But he is, in my opinion, good enough to be a starter somewhere. Um, he's honestly, in my opinion, like the perfect backup to Lamar. Um, but he's won games as a starter. He almost beat the Bengals last year in the playoffs.
Mhm.
Pretty sure he's capable of winning games. Again, we're not going to be trying that hard. I think just you put Tyler Huntley in there. We already have some backups. You take out Zay Flowers and OBJ. We go back to kind of a run heavy team, which I think it'll make it close. But I think our defense is, even with some backups in there, I think our defense is going to be good enough to give them a really rough time because I don't think the Steelers have played really a great. That's who they played 2 weeks ago. Yeah, they haven't played like a strong defense for a few weeks, and that is one of the few things that has allowed their offense to look a little bit better. So,
Texans and Colts.
yes,
I'm gonna say Texans.
I'm also gonna go Texans, but I kind of have a bad feeling about it. I don't
Yeah,
know
something
why.
something weird's gonna happen.
Anthony
I don't
Richardson's
know.
gonna come back.
I don't know. Well, we'll see. Uh yeah. I mean, Houston should win this one, but Colts have been resilient. So we'll see. Uh Browns and Bengals. I'm gonna say
Browns.
Browns, yeah. Uh
It's not like they have
just
starters to
because.
sit anyways,
No,
besides like Miles Garrett, but who else are they gonna
pretty
sit?
much it.
Joe Flacco? Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. Keep him healthy. Vikings at Detroit. I'm gonna say Lions, because Vikings still don't have a quarterback. And the Vikings are kind of out of the playoff picture, I think, aren't they?
Vikings, so that's interesting. The Vikings technically aren't, but they need to win
A lot to they
and
have a lot
have
to go their way.
and a Seattle loss, a Green Bay loss, and a New Orleans loss. Or it's a Tampa Bay or New Orleans loss. So they need three teams to lose and a win over the Lions. Um, I think I actually forgot to add this on my slate, but I'm picking Detroit. They played better the past 2 weeks, so I'm gonna stick with Detroit. Plus, they don't have
I'm
a
picking
quarterback.
Detroit. Mhm.
So,
Jaguars and Titans. I'm gonna say Jaguars because I don't know. It's Jaguars should win this game. Keyword being should. I don't know if they will.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jaguars. Honestly, if you're Tennessee, I don't even know if you play Will Levis. You've played him. You've played Tannehill the past couple of weeks. Hasn't gone well, but why start him in the last game when it's like you haven't been playing anything for the past couple of weeks, anyways? Might as well just sit him. Get Tannehill
Yeah,
to play, and I think if Tannehill plays, Jacksonville's got an easy win, even if it's Beathard playing, which I think they'll probably play Trevor Lawrence anyways. But yeah,
we'll see. Jets and Patriots. I'm gonna say Patriots.
I'm also going Patriots.
They've been looking better, so I'm just going to pick them over the Jets, unless the Jets can have like a really great offensive day, but I highly doubt that. Uh, Falcons and Saints. I'm gonna say Saints.
I am too. I just know the thing that makes me so hesitant is the fact that the Falcons, I think, have a higher upside. They just don't utilize their offense or their defense. I don't know what happened to their defense, but they have good corners. They're so disappointing.
It's called
Uh,
coaching.
it is. Yeah, both those teams are disappointing, which is why I have no idea. But I'm going with the no Saints.
Buccaneers and Panthers. Buccaneers.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Bears and Packers. I have Bears playing spoiler,
I
so I have Bears winning right now. But I also wouldn't be surprised if the Packers did win.
Yeah, especially because
So,
Packers need the win, which is well, uh, the funny thing is the Bears are in the situation the Lions were a year ago,
yeah.
where they've already been eliminated, but they have the chance to knock the Packers out of the playoffs. Because a loss for the Packers gets them eliminated.
Yep.
So,
Let's see here.
well,
Broncos and Raiders. I'm gonna say Broncos.
yeah, I'm going Broncos. I'm not confident with it because I think I like O'Connell more than Stidham. Maybe, but it's also a revenge game for Stidham, so we're gonna go Stidham. Go with the Broncos. Plus, I think they're better coached because they have like an actual head coach rather than someone who's done a very good job as an interim and probably deserves a head coaching job, but Peyton's more experienced. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Eagles and Giants. I'm gonna say Eagles, unless for some reason the Eagles lose this one again, which I am gonna probably say they probably will.
I I wouldn't be surprised
I wouldn't
because
be either.
they almost lost in Philly,
Yeah.
and you're going to the Giants, and you've not shown any improvement since. So I'm going Philly, but because I couldn't in good conscience make that upset pick, but I would not be surprised and will honestly laugh if it happens. Um,
Um,
Seattle, Arizona. Yeah, I'm going Seahawks just
Seattle.
because.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm also gonna choose Seattle for this one.
it's not the right kind of game for the Cardinals to pull off an upset here. It could knock the Seahawks out of the playoffs,
No,
but I
it
just
could.
it's not the right kind of upset for them. They need ridiculous upsets like give them the 49ers again. I think they'll beat them this time.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean,
Yeah, we'll see.
uh
Chiefs and Chargers. I'm gonna say
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Stick is just put put Max Duggan in. Easton Stick doesn't do anything. He hasn't done anything.
Good.
Like the
No.
defense is the defense has made it the games the past 2 weeks close. Once you take away Brandon Staley, like the defense actually does stuff. But just someone other than Easton Stick, because Easton Stick does not help that offense at all. So
Nope.
somebody.
All right.
Rams, 49ers. This was really hard to pick because the Rams have a little bit to play for. 49ers really have nothing to play for. Rams might play some backups. 49ers will play some backups, but the 49ers backups might possibly still be that much better than the Rams starters.
Yeah.
So
I'm just gonna say that the Niners are gonna win this one because of logic. But Rams can play upset, and the Rams already clinched a playoff spot, so they have something to play for, but they really don't.
yeah, yeah,
But so Cowboys at Commanders. Cowboys should win this one.
they should. Um, Commanders are. I still think with Sam Howell that they're a fun team to watch.
I'm going.
I'm going Cowboys though. I think this is a I think this is a comfy win. Um, I don't see I don't see the Commanders playing this one too closely. Not this game.
No, no. Commanders are not good enough to keep the Cowboys offenses, you know, scoring a billion points basically. So,
They'll probably get wrecked on defense,
and
dude.
finally we have, yeah, and finally we have Bills and Dolphins. Okay.
This one
Do you
is
want to
so
do your
difficult.
do you want to do
But
your pick first, or do you want me to do mine?
how do you do yours?
Okay. All right. I have the Bills winning. Dolphins
Oh,
lately have not. See, the thing is, the Dolphins haven't been like solid, if that makes sense. Like they're good. Don't get me wrong. They're really good. It's just the Bills have come back from what seemed like they were going to be eliminated from the playoffs like a few weeks ago to now they're competing for a seed. I don't. Bills are going to play their hearts out. And that's the thing. And I think Miami. See, the thing is that Miami technically, like, they do have something to play for. They do have the second seed to play for. But if they lose, they're still in the playoffs. They're going to be down to number six, though, but they'll be
no,
there.
they might. Well, hmm, let's see if they Miami. If they lose, they play the Chiefs again in
That would be a good
Arrowhead.
game to watch. That'd be a good
Uh,
game to watch.
if they win, they'll end up with ooh. It's mm, there could be so many teams. One being the Bills again,
Yeah,
which I don't think you want that. Um,
no. The the Dolphins, I think if they think logically, if they lose, they'll be fine. But if they win, they gotta hope that the Bills don't win, or at least are in the playoffs. So like if the Steelers lose, the Bills are in. So it's like a do you want to gamble that or do you want to just lose this game and then have the ability to at least, you know, I don't know. It's a lot of thinking, but I think the Bills will win, but I also wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins do win as well.
yeah, it's so tough because I'm like, oh, Buffalo's looking like Buffalo's on a winning streak, but they haven't looked good the past 2 weeks. Miami's kind of in
Yeah,
the same place they've been all year. You don't really
that's
know.
the thing.
Um,
Which team has made more mistakes, really?
there's also the Bills won at home earlier in the year quite convincingly, and like Dolphins are at home this time at home field advantage. It's so tough to tell between these two because they seem so evenly matched. Um, I could really go either way. Um, especially like watching the Dolphins play the Ravens, like I could see how that team could still beat the Bills because I watched and I was like, yeah, there were some moments where they kind of like it wasn't the entire game where we were like blowing them out of the water. It was kind of just once we got ahead. Um, but regardless, I still went with the Bills to win this game because I really didn't know, and I'm kind of just hoping. I don't know. They were kind of my gut reaction, and yeah, I went with the Bills. Not super confident on that though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to make that judgment call, especially without like seeing it like happening in real time. So, yeah. But let's move on to playoff predictions. This is the last time we'll have this, so I'll do mine real quick. So in the AFC seeding wise, I have first seven. I have Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, Jaguars, Browns, Dolphins, and Texans. In the NFC 1 through 7, I have Niners, Cowboys, Lions, Buccaneers, Eagles, Rams, and Seattle. However, that seventh seed can easily change. So I think because honestly, it's either going to be the Packers or Seattle, and I feel a little bit closer to the notion that Seattle might win that seed, but Packers are Packers. They find a way to win. So I'm pretty split on that one.
Yeah, I think mine are the same. Because did we have? I think we had all the same picks,
Oh, really?
right? I think so. Um, so with based off of my predictions, yeah, it's gonna fall the same way. But if the Packers win, that's the one game that is kind of undervalued as far as like how much it can change stuff up because a Packers win, if everything else stays the same, but the Packers win, Packers get the 6 seed, Rams get the 7 seed. Packers
Oh, really?
lose. Well, yeah, because they have tiebreaker over the Rams. So Rams lost and the Packers win, they have the same record. And so Packers earn it over them. So that's why I'm like, the Rams, yes, they could move down a spot, and the only way they move down a spot is a loss plus a Packers win. Um,
Interesting.
I also totally forgot that the Packers actually have a path to the playoffs, even if they lose this week, and it's not impossible because it does require if they lose, they need the Saints, the Vikings, and the Seahawks to lose. Now, the Saints and the Vikings, very possible. The Seahawks, less likely. But if those three teams lose, Packers get it anyways, which is
Interesting. Because
not
what I want, because
as
what I want is because personally what I want is that I think if we get a Cowboys Packers game and a Lions and Rams game. That's a pretty entertaining game right there, or two matchups. And I don't know. We'll see. I kind of want that to happen. So we'll
Yeah,
see. I
that
mean,
would be um that would be a very that would be interesting. That'd be an interesting matchup. I think the Cowboys would handle the Packers in that case, and who knows with the Lions, what they're going to do in the playoffs because they haven't been in however long. But um,
yeah.
for that to happen, you need both the Packers and the Rams to win. Or
Yeah. I just
or
don't.
you could have Rams lose, Cowboys and Eagles lose, Lions win, Packers win. And then it'll be Lions at 2 versus Rams at 7, and then Cowboys at 3
Oh
versus
yeah.
Packers at
That'd be
6.
interesting.
If that happened, that'd be wild because that'd be whoa. But there are several ways it can happen. It's just it's I'm enjoying kind of the sit and watch, but it is the last week of the regular season. So at this point, there are only so many
It
outcomes.
is.
So I'm excited
We'll
to
see.
watch this week,
I
and
am.
I am ready for playoffs.
Playoffs are literally right around the corner, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see where it goes. So, all right. Well, take care, guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.
Goodbye.